Good morning, early game crew. Happy Thursday. We're going to take a closer look at Texas A&M today and hear what Clayton White had to say. And also, Mike Furry didn't speak. It's a bummer.
Boo!
Boo! We want Mike. We want Mike. Or the tagline Jen had yesterday, I like Mike. I like Mike. I'm Elijah Campbell. He's Preston Thorne. She's Jen Jensen. We are taking a closer look at Texas A&M today because essentially, now it's not literally, but essentially the season is on the line on Saturday because bowl games, I feel like in terms of standards, bare minimum in an SEC school. And guess what? You're 3-6, meaning you do not win this game on Saturday. We will only have 2 games remaining in our football season. Frowny face. So this one is a must-win.
Well, yeah, the football season is a frowny face. Frowny face maybe with a tear.
Yes.
Right, if we were emoji describing this season. We're already in frowny face land.
We've been in frowny face land for about a month and a half, 2 months now.
Yeah.
We are in like red face emoji mad.
Ooh.
That is what it gets upgraded to.
There is a possibility for that in the next 2 weeks coming after this week. That's why this week is so important, because if by chance you can go in and do something that nobody thinks you can do, that we don't think you can do, but it doesn't matter because it's only about you in the locker room and these people in these buildings, all of that. If you can go in and do something like that, that changes the narrative on the story, on the season. That changes what everybody has thought to this point, because at this point the season has been a massive disappointment. And it still will be, even if you went in there and win this game, but at least you can hold something. You can hold on to something there. If you don't go in there, and maybe winning is a huge ask, and we're not in the moral victory conversation, but you cannot go in there and get run out the building.
No. Oh, you gotta show something. You absolutely have to show something. And it's what, a 19.5-point spread? I think the spread has gone up about a 19, up a point. So about a 19.5-point spread.
That spread is based on them or us. Obviously a combination, but what do you think?
I think it is, I think it's a pretty hefty combination of both, because Ole Miss, I believe, covered that spread, and a lot of it's kind of like precedent. If you are double-digit favorites on the road or underdogs on the road a lot, and teams are constantly covering. Now, I'll tell you what the line movement means. It means it was originally at 18.5, meaning it moving up tells you either a lot of bettors or the bettors who are really good at this, the ones who are making money from this, are betting on Texas A&M to cover that spread early.
So they're trying
to move it up to get even money on both sides that way. Because it's a business.
Of course.
And they don't call it Caesar's Hut. It is Caesar's Palace. For a reason. Caesar does a lot of winning. He's got a lot of money. Like, it's that. So not a great outlook, because this Texas A&M team is really good. And I think that also is one of the reasons that makes it feel insurmountable. Like, right, you don't slip into being the number 3 team in the country. That is not something that happens on accident. This is a Texas A&M team where everything is kind of pulled together consistently. Because, over the last, 10, 15 years in the Jimbo Fisher and Kevin Sumlin days, it's never been an issue of talent.
Right. As I've stated, as I've said, everybody says they have been consistently the best looking team, the best getting off the bus team.
Yes.
In the SEC. And their talent has not matched that. That's probably why they've always been so frustrated down there and frantic about their coaching choices, because to a man, everybody has kind of said, like, man, have you seen what they look like in person? And they don't, their performance does not match that.
And this year it does. And does consistently, because you see A&M teams that get off to really good starts in September and October, or at least the first half of October, and then kind of fall apart, right? Like, they are the most 8-4 program in the history of college football, arguably. They are kind of like to the 8-4 record what Jeff Fisher is to 8-8. You can almost bank on it.
Mm-hmm.
You can bank on that happening almost every year. And this year, it hasn't been that way. And I think in large part, it kind of starts with quarterback play and what they do defensively. But I don't think they've had consistent quarterback play and high-level quarterback play like this since Johnny Manziel was there.
Yeah, because Jimbo Fisher had a string of dudes who were essentially interchangeable. Like Connor Wegman and
Haynes King.
Haynes King. Yeah,
they did not develop.
Yeah, and it just felt like they just kind of had the same dude back there consistently who was okay, but never could really take advantage of whatever Jimbo Fisher's offense
Zach
that he was
Calzada.
running. Yes. Again, just guys.
Quite literally just dudes.
Yeah, just dudes back there. So, yeah, I think that is important. And when Texas A&M, like a lot of teams, when they've had success, they've had somebody who's especially dynamic back there at quarterback. And I guess Marcel Reed fills that space.
I feel like they've always been good at the line of scrimmage. I think this year they're great at the line of scrimmage. And Old Man versus Analytics, we'll get to one stat that is pretty eye-popping with how good they are in pass protection. But they've always been good at the line of scrimmage. I think the hiring of Mike Elko made a lot of the talent that they had in the trenches great, right? And I think if you look at an A&M problem the last few years, it's been a lot of development issues, right? Because they had some loaded high school recruiting classes, and you didn't maximize some of those guys. Guys like Walter Nolan, right, who was the star of that 2021 highly coveted recruiting class, had his best years of his career at Ole Miss, right, where they finally developed him. He ended up putting up numbers, and he ended up kind of being the productive player you expect a former number one player in the country out of high school to be, and then becomes a first-round pick in the NFL. And now he's having a really good season with the Arizona Cardinals, but they couldn't get that out of him at Texas A&M for whatever reason, right? I think they have a coaching staff there in place now that's getting the best out of everybody. And on the offensive side of the ball, you've seen it really go up a level the last 2 years with Colin Klein calling the plays.
Yeah, and they've taken on the personality of their head coach. Whereas before those 8-4 teams, they sort of had 8-4 type head coaches. Jimbo obviously was a national champion coach with our guy.
Oh, we're going to hear from him today, too. We're going to hear from him.
With our guy. But both of those dudes were Kevin Sumlin, Jimbo Fisher, offensive-minded coaches. Don't think they probably spent much time in the trenches, on the trenches. They were like, hey, somebody else take care of that. And that's the direct opposite of what Mike Elko's philosophy is and who he is as a coach.
One of my favorite moments in college football this year is that Texas A&M Notre Dame game. I think we're probably in the second or third quarter at this point. Like, we're in the middle half of the game. And Mike Elko is absolutely giving his defensive line the business on the sideline. Takes a chair, throws it against the wall, all this type of stuff.
Let's do it.
And guess what they go out there and do and force a 3 and out. Like, they respond to stuff really well. And that's one of the things that I noticed about this team is, like, if you can get them on a few plays, but good luck getting them over the course of 75, 80, on either side of the ball during the game, because that's part of being like an old team that's also a good team, right? Is they've played enough football to know, that was a bad drive. We still got a lot left. And that's one of the reasons why this team is so good, too. I think mentally they're tougher than any A&M team I've seen, since they joined the SEC.
So is this game classically thought of as would this be considered a trap game for Texas A&M? Is this a trap game? Where in the pantheon of games does this fall for? Because we know what it means for us. What does it mean for them?
For them, it means getting style points in the college football playoff, because they're still number 3, and also it means they have a lot on the line too historically, because if they win this game, they can all but certainly lock up a spot in the SEC championship game, because then they only have one more SEC game after this, because they play Samford after this game. Even if they somehow lost, that would be atrocious, but it wouldn't keep them out of the SEC title game. Other stuff in the SEC kind of has to happen too, because if you look at the SEC standings, there are a lot of teams with one loss kind of just lingering.
Of course there are.
Because our hashtag this league.
Yeah.
This league. A lot of teams that are kind of just lingering on the outskirts. Like, I look right now, you got Georgia, Ole Miss, Texas, all with one loss. And if Texas ends up beating Georgia,
I was about to say somebody will break. That'll break something.
That's going to break. But if Texas ends up beating Georgia, and then Texas ends up beating Texas A&M, then you have one loss. Well, you lose the tiebreaker. So if you're A&M, you're really kind of scoreboard watching for that one too. I don't know who would have the tiebreaker between them and Georgia, because you know what I don't want to do? Read that 38-page PDF of what the tiebreaker system is.
I mean, we literally just had, as the internet showed me, we literally just had a coin toss in West Texas for a playoff spot.
Again, wait. In high school football in Texas this year?
We just had
Friday Night Lights it?
Yes, we did.
Oh man!
How'd you miss that? Your algo failed you.
It failed me.
I will send it to you. Yes, this literally just happened.
Oh man!
A three-way toss
at a truck stop.
Yes.
Oh man!
Yes.
None of this in a fancy headquarters.
Three-way toss. We all get a coin. Odd man out. I think it was the odd man wins.
Oh, so it was 3 teams for 1 spot.
Yes.
Oh, buddy.
Yes.
Oh, buddy.
I gotta send it to you.
I have to find this.
Let me make note.
But I don't think I think Greg Sankey's in the business of doing coin tosses again. But A&M, a school that's never been to the conference title game when they joined the SEC, or since they've joined the SEC, has a lot on the line for them too. And that is why I think, in terms of maybe like looking ahead, I don't factor in much in this game. Now, they might miss some throws, because as good as Marcel Reed is, he will miss some throws here and there. But I don't find that to be something that is an element in this game. Real quick, Jen, we'll get cut number 38, because I wanted to ask Clayton White yesterday, one of the 2 coordinators that spoke, to get some type of scouting report, but specifically with the RPO offense that Texas A&M has, because there might not be a better quarterback in college football at the mesh point than Marcel Reed. And they have a running attack of 2 guys that are going to go for almost 1,000 yards this season, right? Especially if they're in the college football playoff and they're playing multiple games. Those 2 guys, Le'Veon Moss and Reuben Owens, could very well account for over 1,000 yards this season. It's one of the more dynamic RPO attacks in college football. Here's what Clayton White said would be the keys to being able to limit that RPO offense.
Discipline, definitely the key to the game in regards of, it's basically like option football. You have to really protect the run inside on the perimeter, and also the perimeter passes, and then the quarterback. So that, to me, that makes it feel like option football. And discipline and technique and understanding your initial assignment, I think, is the most important part. And then also understand that there are secondary things you have to read and react to. And we just have to be great at those fundamentals. Those are just base fundamentals, football, and just technique and understanding, read and react football, and leverage and angles, and understanding where your teammates are. But you hit the key word with discipline, and I do believe that's going to be key.
Discipline in that run game, because, I mean, if you at least want to slow them down, and South Carolina's defense has kept them in games before, if we want to see South Carolina's defense keep the Gamecocks in this game, I think discipline on RPO is going to be a big thing, because A&M does like to use that and put you in conflict.
Yeah, and it's option football, and the thing about that is you have to play your assignment regardless of what is happening with the rest, regardless of the eye candy, the pump fakes, the handoffs, whatever. You have to play your assignment, because as soon as you don't, that's where the ball finds where you were supposed to be. Yeah. And it gets frustrating because, for instance, Dylan Stewart, he might be on dive. He might be on dive the whole time. He might be on the dive, or whatever the case is. And the one time he doesn't take the dive because he's trying to get to the quarterback, there it goes.
Yep.
And that is the ethos of option football, and now we've just expanded it with the passing game.
Yeah, and Marcel Reed, deadly accurate, at least in the RPO game, right? Sometimes downfield is when he can miss some gimmies, but he is pretty accurate in that intermediate area, and they have used that with some of their speedy receivers to yield some ridiculous results on that side of the ball this year. There was one cut we didn't get to yesterday, and it's a longer one, so we kind of have to carve out some time for it. But I know, Preston, I wanted to react to it. I talked a little bit about it in the final hour, but it's Shane talking about the previous offensive coordinators and taking a look back on how those have gone. And then that kind of does lead us into a discussion on how important the future offensive coordinator hire is going to be for this program. We'll discuss that coming up next here in the early game.
Hey, it's Jen for Carolina Stone Craftsman, just outside Columbia in Chapin. When we first visited them, we learned that they do understand the kitchen and bath projects can be a significant investment, and they work to build and deliver the highest quality, most affordable granite, marble, and quartz while still providing the best customer service. It's very simple. Great countertops with no compromises, and you really need to check out their showroom to learn more and see exactly what I mean. You explore the craftsmanship of each slab, visit their indoor and outdoor showroom. You're not only going to be impressed, but you'll honestly be a little bit inspired. If you're looking for countertops for your kitchen or bath, I do encourage you to reach out to Carolina Stone Craftsman. And hey, be sure to tell them Jen Jensen sent you. They're family owned and operated just beyond Columbia in Chapin, and I assure you they will be beyond your expectations. Visit them online, carolinastonecraftsman.com. Just one accident, I-77 southbound at Forest Drive, right there on the exit ramp. So be careful there. And the forecast, yep, it's definitely better than how we started the week. 71 under sunny skies today. The sunshine really continues through Monday, so going to enjoy that. Still kind of chilly in the morning. Overnight low tonight into tomorrow, 39. And the overnight on Friday, 42. But then it warms up in the mornings just a little bit. But 71 today, 70 tomorrow, mid-70s for the weekend. Still a chilly start this morning, 38 on 107.5 The Game.
arguably the highlight of Shane Beamer's press conference, or maybe one of the most notable things that's gotten other people talking, were his comments about his previous offensive coordinator hires. Because clearly the headline of this team this last week, off the bye week, going into this game, is Mike Shula relieved of his duties. Mike Furry's the interim play caller. But coming into another year, more than likely missing a bowl game and needing to salvage some momentum and get things back on track, because we have reached derailment in terms of where you wanted to be after a 9-win season. You're not going to be. So you got to be able to get back on track, get the train back on the track, or get your GPS to turn you around in your car, whatever traveling analogy you would like to use, Carolina has to do. So earlier this week, Shane Beamer talked about those offensive coordinator hires, and he had some pushback on maybe some narratives surrounding those hires. So this will be cut number 6 from yesterday, Jen.
I'm open to anything. I push back a little bit, and you didn't say this, but I know it's a narrative out there. I push back a little bit on the narrative that we haven't necessarily gotten these coordinator hires right. Have we been efficient enough on offense and consistent enough on offense? Absolutely not. But let's also not act like we've brought in 3 coordinators and we've just fired all of them and we just threw up our hands. I mean, we brought in a guy in year 1 that had been an offensive coordinator in college. Yes, he had a pro background. Well, that pro background was with Joe Brady with the Panthers, who they did a pretty freaking good job when he was running a pro-style offense at LSU that year and won the national championship. Now, yeah, they had Joe Burrow and whatnot, but he had spent time in the NFL, but he was a college guy that people can, say what they want about him. He won 7 games as the offensive coordinator our first season, starting 4 different quarterbacks. And then the next season, he hung 63 on Tennessee at the end of the season and scored more points against Clemson than any offensive coordinator has here since I've been the head coach. And didn't get fired, a coach that he worked for previously at Western Carolina, Temple, and the Carolina Panthers, got the head coaching job at Nebraska, and his very first call was to him to go be the offensive coordinator. So I know people have perceptions of he was this pro-style guy that had this complicated offense. Well, we did a lot of really good in his time, too. Consistent at? No. Then the next guy, yes, had been primarily in the NFL, but was intriguing because he spent a year at Arkansas, or 2 years, whatever it was, and time at Penn State with James Franklin, being around college offenses. So, yes, his background was the NFL. And I hired him because of 1, good football coach, 2, had been exposed to the college game with the Art Briles system because he was working for Kendall Briles at Arkansas. But yes, his primary background was the NFL, came here, left to become a head football coach. So I'd say were we consistent enough off season out the last 2 seasons? No, we need to be, but left for a promotion. And then this one, quality football coach who had been basically his entire career since he left Alabama, Mike, had been in the NFL and then spent time in our offense, the college game, in 24. And then I thought it was a seamless transition. So I know I just diverted off your question. All 3 of those guys, yes, did have pro backgrounds. Do we need to be more consistent on offense? Yes. I don't like the inconsistency that we've had since I've been the head coach, and that's on me. That's totally on me. We've got to score more points. We got to turn the ball over less. We got to get sacked less. And every year I come in here in spring practice when I meet with you guys and I talk about these things that we needed to do better on offense, and it's too many sacks and it's too many turnovers, and this year's no different. It's like a freaking broken record. If you look at the SEC stats, we've turned the ball over too many times. Once again, our defense is leading the SEC in takeaways, and bless you. So we've got to be better from that standpoint. I think the bless you is going to be like the Bill O'Brien, what's up, Trevor, from last week on that also, which is awesome. I think my bless you will be mine. But to answer your question, John, whoever gives us the best chance to be successful. Would I like to find, if we hire from outside, someone that's been a college coordinator, I think that would be awesome. But if the best person is from the NFL and can fit what we want to do here offensively, then so be it. I'm not closing the door on anything, but I also understand that, as we go into 2026, whoever is in that position, we need to score more points than what we've done this year and every year too, because we just haven't scored enough, and ultimately that's on me to get the right guy in here and get that right.
A lot to take away there, a lot to unpack, but I think there's only one thing that's the most important thing to unpack, right?
Okay.
Because you can hear all the resume stuff. You can hear the backstory behind the coaches, why they may have left, why one did leave. But there's one thing that you need to take away. Have not been consistent enough, and that's still the main story.
Yeah, you have to start with that. You have to start with that before you get to the diatribe about their resumes, which was telling not the story, it was telling a story, because there are plenty of other stories that you could tell about those specific coaches, right? Dowell Loggins did not leave the NFL. He was told to leave the NFL, right? Mike Shula did not voluntarily leave the Carolina Panthers. He was escorted out the building. Same with the New York Giants. These are things that happen. Marcus Satterfield did not decide that, I don't want to be an offensive coordinator at Nebraska. His best coaching buddy said, hey, I don't think it's not you, it's me. I'm going to go get somebody from outside of the conference who hasn't been calling plays in a year, and we're going to, hey, Dana. So there's a lot of stories that I get. Shane did a masterful job of spinning the narrative towards his direction. That's cool. But the bottom line is, you're correct. None of those three dudes were consistent enough, and our offenses have struggled in many of the same ways that he said. Too many sacks, too many turnovers, too many penalties, not enough points, not enough yards.
And that's the unfortunate thing about coaching too. I mean, I'm glad he's bought into the reasons why he brought these guys in. You should. You absolutely should, right? Because you got to believe in your own process. If you don't, then you're not going to be confident in any decision you make as a head coach. But ultimately, it is results-oriented, and you finally were getting the results you wanted the last 6 weeks of last year, and then App State comes calling for Dowell, and now you kind of have to go back, right?
Ask the folks at App State what they think about that.
Oh, we already got, it's not been going very well. That's too proud of a program to be 5-5.
Any Mountaineers out there want to call in, but continue.
Yes, that's too proud a program to be 5-5 right now. I'll say that. But ultimately, the end of the day, you're just not consistent enough. And that's the one thing, like, that can be something that holds every program back. And yesterday, I equated it to a much lesser degree like Iowa, right? What's holding Iowa back from winning Big Ten titles and national championships is any type of offense, because they've consistently been a top 10 defense every single bleeping year in the last decade or two, right? But they can't score, and that's held them back. And that's been the thing that's held this program back kept it from real progression to what you want to see to get it to the heights that Steve Spurrier got this program to be.
Right, and he mentioned, with Satterfield, I was there. I'm old enough to remember, and that was not the case for his whole time. That's why the whole eruption against Tennessee was such a surprise, because the week prior, they looked absolutely anemic.
They scored 6 points.
Yeah, so, I mean, I get it, and I hear you. You can spin it however you want, but to your point, the bottom line is they have not been consistent enough. And I would just say this. You need to figure out what you want. Don't be open to anything. You can't just be like, hey, what do you want to eat tonight? I don't know, whatever you want to eat. No, I need to know what I want to eat, and then we can make a decision. Just saying I'm open to anything is not going to be good enough.
Nope, absolutely not. But we'll continue looking at Texas A&M, because Old Man versus Analytics is next.
Pressing here for our friends at Integrated Media. Listen, we've been trying to tell you all year that you need to get your setup ready. And look, the football season has breezed by us. That doesn't mean it's too late, but you can still get your outdoor setup ready with the folks from Integrated Media. What can your outdoor setup look like? It can look like Sonos TVs that are waterproof. It can look like Wi-Fi that works indoors and outdoors. So you can have all the sports playing at all the times. You already passed sports equinox, but there's still time for you to get set up. You can control all your devices from just one remote. So from home theater setup to adjusting your thermostat, maybe it's monitoring your security systems from your cell phone. Integrated Media is the company that you need to call. So call Nathan and Michael at 803-948-8327. That's 803-948-8327. Or reach them online at integratedmediainc.com. That's online at integratedmediainc.com.
I-77 southbound at Forest Drive on the exit ramp. There's actually an accident with injuries, so it's going to take a little bit to get that taken care of. So do be mindful of the emergency vehicles there. Again, that's I-77 southbound at Forest Drive. And beautiful forecast on the way. Sunny, 71, sunny and 70 tomorrow. Stay in the mid to upper 70s the remainder of the weekend. So very nice for the next several days and into really next week. So loving that. But starting off a little cool this morning. It's 38 on 107.5 The Game.
time to argue with some numbers. And by that, I mean take a look at Texas A&M through the scope of some of the advanced stuff, because we talked about a lot. I think the focus so far, if I had to kind of get the sum of everything we talked about when it comes to Texas A&M, is the defense, because, well, your offense has struggled. Your offensive line has struggled to maintain a clean pocket. You've missed on some throws in the Ole Miss game that cost you. You commit a lot of penalties in the game against LSU that cost you, and you're end up firing your offensive coordinator after 9 games because the offense has not been good enough to yield the results that you need. And you're playing a defense that's really good at yielding negative results for opposing offenses. So that's been a large part of the discussion. But I wanted to look at some of the things on offense that Texas A&M does really well, and what kind of presents a really big challenge for South Carolina's defense to be able to keep you into the game. And starting with this. Now, on all of Marcel Reed's dropbacks, he's been blitzed on 42% of them. Teams have tried to get after Marcel Reed. But his pressure rate, he's only been pressured on 24% of his dropbacks. He's not facing pressure often, despite fellow defensive coordinators sending the house on him. Does that change what your blitzing strategy is for this game?
No, it doesn't, because if we're trying to still be aggressive, I think in your mind, you're thinking, well, that's them. We're us. They couldn't do it, but we can.
That Arrested Development meme was like, this went poorly for everybody else, but maybe it'll work for us.
Yeah, I think just for the fact that we're very late in the season and a lot of the success that we've seen from Clayton, I'm thinking about like that double corner blitz against Bama. He's been able to dial them up, and I guess you just got to have confidence in yourself to be able to dial the right one up when you need it and for your players to execute. So I hear the numbers, but I don't know if I can make that really change what my game plan is.
It's good luck getting to him.
Right.
It will take, it'll take more than sending extra guys to get to him. It will take very good days on the defensive line from Dylan Stewart and Brian Thomas Jr. Now, all 3 of Texas A&M's top runners average more than 3 yards after contact. That's Le'Veon Moss, that's Reuben Owens, that's E.J. Smith. Those 3 also have combined for 31 runs over 10 yards this season. That's the best run game outside of Missouri that we've seen this team have to play. And when you account for Marcel Reed having 16 rushes of 10 or more yards, it's a more diverse running game than what Missouri had.
Yes, obviously, because even when Bo Pergula was healthy, he was not a huge factor. And they would try to keep it every now and then, but you'd be like, all right, man, whatever.
But it's picking up 6 or 7 yards situationally.
Bo Pergula could not make a house call like Marcel Reed can. And again, Marcel Reed is not he's not Lamar Jackson. He's not even Lenore Sellers, I don't think, as far as being able to run. But he provides enough of a threat where you have to dedicate a man, as Clayton White was talking about, and that makes your defense a little bit softer at other points.
What's really funny is just because I watched him in high school so much, whenever he kind of broke out on the scene last year and took the job from Connor Wegman, and they were running him a lot of people are like, oh, well, he's a run-first quarterback. And I'm like, yeah, no.
He's not.
He's not. He definitely is not. No.
Put that in the category of sneaky athletic.
Yes, sneaky athletic, run-first quarterback immediately upon looking at him. Yeah. But Stephen A. Smith did that to Dwayne Haskins a couple of years ago. Right? He's more of a scrambling running back. And it's like, no, he's not. The guy runs like a 5-second 40. No.
Same but different.
Same,
yeah.
But different.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of pass catchers, because one thing that this A&M team has this year that's different, and they've always had, again, it's the same thing with every Texas A&M position group. Talent's not an issue. And they've had really talented receivers and deep receiving rooms, but they just haven't been as productive. This year, a little different, but I wanted to highlight Casey Concepcion. Transferred from North Carolina State, has been an absolute deep play threat for A&M. And we talk about a lot of ADOT numbers, right? Average depth of target. And some of your higher-end quarterbacks in terms of them throwing the ball down the field is 9, 10, maybe 11 yards, right, for your average depth of target. If your average depth of target's in double digits, you're throwing the ball downfield more than your average bear, right? Well, Casey Concepcion is catching 58% of his targets this year, and his average depth of target is over 12. And he's got a contested catch rate of 50%. That's the big play guy. That's the high risk, high reward type player. If you want to keep them ahead of you and maybe not give up explosives, that's probably the number one guy I think you would have to account for.
So in my mind, he's the guy on offense that you just throw it up and let him take a shot.
Yeah.
See if he can go get it.
Yeah. Throw it downfield, let him outrun somebody.
Let him outrun somebody, let him high point it or whatever the case is. And that's going to be probably a strategy that they will employ. With those numbers, does that require cat coverage for you?
Ooh.
Or is he not quite to that threshold
I
yet?
don't know if there is.
Cat coverage meaning where that cat goes, you go.
You go, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And because I think your best cover corner is Brandon Cisse, and he plays more in the slot, and that's where Mario Craver plays a lot. And Mario Craver, equally as big of a big play threat, just not as far down the field. Now, Craver's ADOT's around 7 yards. He lines up in the slot like 80+% of the time. So getting him the ball closer to the line of scrimmage is something that they want to do. Concepcion's maybe a little more down the field. Now, Craver has shown an ability to beat somebody over the top because of busted coverage. Like in the Notre Dame game, I think he had like an 80-something, 90-something yard touchdown reception very early on in that game where, again, some busted coverage, some confusion, some miscommunication on the back end of Notre Dame's defense kind of led to that. But Craver's one of those guys, too, that it's tough because I would be more hesitant to put Cisse on Concepcion, and maybe I just put Cisse because Cisse, I think, is at his best as a nickel corner to put
And
Cisse
supporting
in
the
cat
run game,
coverage.
yeah.
Yes. So if I'm cat coveraging anybody, it might be Cisse on Craver. But I would want Jalen Kilgore to have his eyes on Concepcion as much as possible if I'm trying to just draw up matchups here.
That makes sense.
But again, and that's what makes it so tough, right? Because if they only had one receiver they could do this to, then it's a little easier, right? Then you can say, all right, Brandon, yeah, follow that guy around. But having both of those dudes, and especially those guys being transfers too, might have caught a few teams off guard early because Craver wasn't necessarily putting up the numbers he is this year at Mississippi State. Maybe has thrown some other defensive coordinators for a loop, but that's going to be a big thing. It's not just their running game so good. We'll talk about that later on in the show. But, buddy, they can air it out too. We'll go take a quick break. When we come back, though, the Quote King has returned. Where one man is injured in the NFL means it's opportunity for another man. And that means we get to hear the greatest speaker in the NFL. Most of you know who I'm talking about already. Jimbo Fisher knows who I'm talking about, but we'll tell you and we'll let you hear from him coming up next on the early game. Fun fact, last night was the 15-year anniversary of Kevin Love scoring 30 points and grabbing 30-plus rebounds in a game against the New York Knicks. 15 years since that happened. One of the most remarkable basketball games I have ever seen in my life. Kevin Love's made a remarkable transformation, but anytime you grab 30 rebounds in a game, that's serious glass cleaning.
Absolutely. And we talked about this guy. He must have been absolutely. I didn't even need to do that,
Look
but he
at
is
that.
absolutely cleaning the glass. And that's our folks from Absolute Glass, taking care of business, taking care of you wherever you need to be, whether you're at school, whether you're at home, whether you're at work. If the glass was shattered, cracked, or broken, maybe like Shaq got a hold of it, doesn't matter. Absolute Glass will come out and take care of it for you. If it's a cracked windshield, they'll do that too. They'll come out to you, take care of the job, usually for free, and they'll work with the insurance to take away the headache. Whether you're at school, home, work, it does not matter. Absolute Glass will do that. They'll do windows, they'll do mirrors, shower enclosures, backboards, whatever. Absolute Glass will come to you and take care of the job for you. So visit the folks at AbsoluteGlassInc.com.
Even if Shaq gets a hold of your backboard and shatters it, which he was known to do.
We got to see some more shattering. Has the technology got better or the players got weaker?
Yeah, there was actually a really good sports science episode about that once, where the reason so many backboards got shattered in the 90s was because they didn't have the rims attached to like the arm of the basket that goes up. Now it's like all that pressure is absorbed and they have the breakaway rims. So
Take away fun.
So send it in, Jerome. Those days are over because those rims were just like screwed into the glass. So if you just bent it hard enough, you were going to shatter that glass. But now breakaway rims, absorption of all that torque and energy takes it away.
Spoiling fun.
Breaking the glass is a lost art in basketball. But one of the best arts that still exists in all of sports, professional sports, college sports, you name it, is Jameis Winston. Because guess what? Bad news for Giants fans, Jackson Dart's hurt. Good news for all fans of football, Jameis Winston gets to start, which means Jameis Winston gets to speak. So you knew we were going to let our soundbite king take a little bit of time to hear what he had to say or sing yesterday.
What do you want fans to know about you?
I want fans to know that I'm going to do my best. You know, obviously I'm going to have fun, but I'm going to execute, have a surgical execution, and just play ball, man. Like, this is something I've been doing since I've been 4 years old, and I just get to do it in the greatest city in the world. I'm going to be saying it with my son. It's the greatest city in the world. Yeah, that's a Hamilton reference if y'all don't know. Yeah, 10-year reunion.
he works so many things into every quote that he has, and sometimes he just forgets what he's going to talk about, and he goes off on a tangent. I have never loved hearing an athlete speak more than I enjoy hearing Jameis Winston talk or sing about anything.
And the quote only does it half the justice because you got to see his eyes, you got to see the facial expressions, you got to see all of it together.
His eyes kind of wander off. He looks up to the sky a little bit when he starts breaking out into song. You could tell, mentally he leaves the presser area and he's on a stage on Broadway.
Now, you just said a term I hadn't heard before. A Familton?
A Fanelton. Yes.
Fanelton. Are you a Fanelton? That was my exact feeling
I
also.
like it. I enjoy it, but...
Yeah, it was cool.
But you know what killed me on it? The girl I was dating at the time when that came out, we went on vacation with my family, and we drove separately. And it was about an 8 or 9 hour drive. I listened to all of Hamilton so much that when I got out of the car, when we got back to Murfreesboro, Tennessee, I did not ever want to hear it again. Well, that's been 10 years. So a lot of time has passed since then. I am open to maybe occasionally catching it. If I can catch it in person, I wouldn't turn it down, right? Because it is a cool production. But I had to take a decade hiatus.
Yeah, I saw it last year when it came here to the Kroger Center last year. I saw it, and that was my first time seeing it in person. And I would say I respected the art of it. Last act was about 30 minutes too long. I was like, I got it. It's good, but the art and the singing and the lyrics and the words, it was really amazing to see in person. But I'm good.
Yeah, in terms of stretching the story out, there's definitely some dairy farming because there's a lot of milking of a couple parts of it.
I was like about the last act. I was like, all right, We're cool.
There was really a lot of milking going on there
we're
at
good.
certain parts of it, admittedly, right? And of course, never seen the play. I just heard it all the way through, like 3 separate times in a 9-hour drive, and it was not good for my collective psyche. But I'll have to go ahead and get your take on this right now. Your favorite Jameis Winston quote.
Say that one more time.
Your favorite Jameis Winston quote.
Favorite Jameis Winston quote. It's not a quote. It's actually when he was with the New Orleans Saints and he bought the case to the team with the W's in the case. And he wasn't even a captain, and they were just looking at him like, what? He had brought a suitcase of W's to the team, and that's probably one of my favorite moments. Yeah.
My favorite one is when he was starting for the Saints. They beat the Falcons on the road, and he's getting interviewed. And he was playing hurt in that game. And I can't remember which one it was, which reporter it was asked him. He's like, what are you feeling, while you're playing through the pain in that fourth quarter? He goes, yeah, pain, just pain. He has that look on his face like he's going to say something incredibly profound, and he just kind of forgets.
Also, if you just need to pick me up, I think there's a string of Jameis Winston workout videos where you can see him doing goofy exercises that have nothing to do with sports, though he thinks it really does. Oh, no. You know what? I'm sorry. My favorite, Lord deliver me from the pick sixes. That's my one. He was praying for deliverance from pick sixes.
Hey, he had a pregame speech against Auburn in the national championship game where he asked his teammates if they're strong. They said they strong, so we strong then.
We strong then. That's another classic.
Oh, man. No better motivational way to get your morning started than hearing from the wisdom man himself. Hour number 2 coming up next.
Hey guys, feeling like you lost your edge, brain fog's got you struggling to focus, or maybe you're working out and you're not getting the results that you used to. Well, there's a reason you're not feeling like yourself, and it might be low testosterone. But you don't have to just live with it. You can reclaim your drive, your energy, and your focus at the men's clinic with Dr. Dan Boltnight. He's a respected physician, and you'll get to see him face to face. It's not some online clinic of somebody you don't know or you can't see. You will meet Dr. Boltnight in person, and he will tailor your treatment based on your labs and your symptoms. Your labs, your first consultation is absolutely free. You'll get your T-level checked, so you have nothing to lose and everything to gain. So don't wait. Call the folks at the men's clinic at 803-875-MENS. That's 803-875-MENS. Or you can find them online at mensclinicsc.com.
I-77 southbound at Forest Drive on the exit ramp. We do have an accident with injuries, so it's going to take a little bit. So be a little patient approaching that area. I-77 southbound on the exit ramp at Forest Drive. And forecast looking really nice. Going to be sunny for about the next week. Going to be in the 70s, be low 70s today and tomorrow. Come Saturday, 75, 79 on Sunday. So beautiful forecast on the way. 38 currently on the early game.
Hour number 2 of the early game starts right now. I'm Elijah Campbell. She's Jen Jensen, filling in, subbing in, if you will, for Preston Thorne. Right? I'm going to be Dave Aiken on the PA, subbing in for the early game. Nick Harvey.
I feel like I should do like the LeBron thing.
Get the powder
Coming in,
your
yeah. I
hands
need the chalk and
clap it
the,
up like that. And
yeah.
Do all that. Preston heads to the bench, and by that I mean out the building. Nick Harvey is subbed in, and we'll be hanging out up until 9 o'clock. We're still taking our look at Texas A&M because now it's preview time, and South Carolina is going to have to pull off a really impressive victory just to keep bowl chances alive going into the final 2 games. But, Nick, we've talked about A&M a lot. There's a couple questions. A, is this the best team in college football? B, is this at least the toughest game this team's had to play so far in a season full of really tough matchups?
That's a really tough question. I mean, like Shane Beamer thinks so. Shane Beamer thinks this is the hottest team in America. And to be fair, like as a fan and somebody who's watched SEC football for so long, right? Like this Texas A&M team, this is typically the point where they've kind of hit that like that slump.
They fall apart.
Where they fall apart and all those hopes go out the door. And I've seen people on Twitter, Texas A&M fans saying, don't give us hope. Like we're ready for this to happen. Just let it happen. Somebody's got to do it. When's it going to happen? I don't think it's going to happen. If it would have happened,
I think it would happen.
It would happen already. Yeah, absolutely. So I think this A&M team's got a chance to roll, and I do think South Carolina's probably playing their toughest game of the season, not only because it's Texas A&M and it's the number 3 team in the country and they're undefeated and they've got such an explosive offense and an even more powerful defense, arguably, but you're in College Station, like the home of the 12th man, which stirred some controversy this week too, apparently. But
on accident, I guess. Good Lord.
That was
people will find bulletin board material anywhere. I think Kirby Smart has set a bad precedent, like when he told that Georgia team at the beginning of their title defense,
right,
that someone said they were going to go 7-5. No one said they were going to go 7-5.
No, he came up with that on his own. But you know what? If you can get people to buy into it, so be it.
If it works, it works, I guess. Whatever yields results.
Right. But again, that is one of the most hostile crowds / fan bases in general. Like 2014, I was 12 years old. It was the first time South Carolina and Texas A&M played each other since A&M joined the SEC. It's like the second football game I'd ever been to at Williams-Brice Stadium. It was a Thursday night. My dad was like, hey, surprise, we got tickets to the A&M game. We were right in front of the A&M student section that traveled to the game. And 12-year-old me was in tears by the end of the night because their student section was just harping on us the entire game.
Oh, they were giving you guys the business.
I had somebody lean forward to me and say, I think it's time that you pick the right team to pull for, and that did it. I was rattled. That was it for me. I couldn't take it anymore. My brother was there. He turned around and said something to them, and I'm not going to repeat anything that he said. But since then, you know, like I think there was a conversation earlier this week when Michael Sauls was on of whether or not there was a legitimate disliking to Texas A&M. Yes.
Yours is more personal. You actually
I have a personal dislike for Texas A&M. My brother's wife, funny enough, now is an A&M fan.
Oh no!
We went full
Oh,
circle
no.
somehow. And now, granted, she's not maybe like super into the football scene in Texas A&M, but she
Right.
likes them, and like it takes a lot in me to not run my mouth, even when A&M might be the better team. Like this week, I have been still running my mouth, knowing good and well it might not go that well.
Yeah, it's funny because there's our poll question of the day on Twitter a couple days ago, and this has probably gotten the most interaction we've had on a poll question in a while. Where we just asked, do you consider Texas A&M as one of South Carolina's rivals? A large sample size because 428 people voted, and 90.2% said no. It's a totally manufactured rivalry. No one cares.
That's the thing. That's the thing. I wouldn't even consider them a rivalry.
You just hate them.
I just don't like them. I have good reason not to like them. There was, again, I think that was the first moment of like truly stepping into being a Gamecock fan, because it was one of those years where you had a lot of hype coming in. Everybody thought you were going to be really good. You're playing another really good team in Texas A&M. Dude Perfect was there. I was like ecstatic about that because I was, again,
2014's like peak.
that was peak Dude Perfect. I was entranced by all the trick shots. They were at the game, and then we got destroyed, and people were mean, and I didn't like it. And ever since then, it's been like, you know what? I have no room in my life for these people or these guys. Don't like this team, never will.
Don't like the negative energy. We're out.
No, absolutely not.
Now, what's really funny is in the comments of that Twitter poll, one person comments and said, greatest rivalries in American sports. 1, the game. 2, Duke UNC. 3, battle for the bottom.
Amen. Yeah, absolutely.
I love like the ironic appreciation of this rivalry when everybody knows damn well that it's been incredibly forced upon both fan bases.
Well, isn't it like a cowboy? Isn't the trophy like a guy on a horse or something like that?
Oh, we actually have an entire printed off sheet over there. It's been sitting. David Dare, Captain David Dare, made sure we all had access to the information of the story behind the Bonham Trophy, which I think some people even just forget about as a thing. I didn't realize it was a thing until like last year, which it could have been a really cool thing. But again, it's a forced rivalry. We had to find a deep historical connection between Texas's origin as a state and a specific graduate from the University of South Carolina. It's definitely a stretch.
Yeah, I mean but that's just like, to be completely fair, it's kind of similar to the Mayor's Cup. Like the Mayor's Cup maybe holds more ground than the Bonham Trophy, I would argue. I think the Como-Cola South Carolina rivalry between Missouri and the Gamecocks holds more weight, I think, than the Bonham Trophy does.
And it's a more even split
Sure.
too, in terms of like wins and losses. Like all time, Texas A&M is 9-2, and South Carolina never beat them until 2022.
Well, let's be honest. When I hear Bonham, my first thing goes to Led Zeppelin. So,
And I think that's probably the case for like 90+% of the
Yeah.
people that hear us reference the Bonham Trophy.
Right. No, I think maybe briefly the thought of the movie Step Brothers comes in, but that's, again, something I'm not going to probably say on live radio.
Yeah, the FCC.
yeah.
That's the thing. We have to play by the rules.
But I just, and then to make matters worse, that's the thing. I went from first seeing them play in 2014 and get destroyed to then watching them lose how many in a row, like 7 or 8 years in a row to the same team. And I was like, these guys just don't go away. Like, they're just annoying at this point.
Can't beat 'em.
It's annoying how good they are at beating us. I couldn't get over it. I like to think I'm over it after we've beat them now for the couple past
2 out of the
years,
last 3 years. Yeah.
but I don't think I am. And Saturday's going to happen. We'll be watching the game.
YouTube, Yep.
And I'm probably going to be pretty frustrated if we're not playing well and holding a tight football game.
No. Just for reference to Kenny Hill threw for 511 yards in that game.
Yeah, the Kenny Hill game.
511 yards. Now, to reference the question that we kind of posed earlier about whether or not, A&M's the best team in college football, I think one thing that people were talking about when the college football playoff rankings came out that a lot of people were kind of chapped that A&M got a 3-touchdown win on the road against a top 25 team and did not leapfrog Indiana, who did survive a win against Penn State on the road. So that made me kind of interested in comparing the resumes of the three teams. So we put that in a college football blind resume, and that's at 107.5 the game right now. If you want to vote on it, even though there'll be spoilers here, I will tell you who the teams are. We'll have you play this game, Nick Harvey. Team A, number 1 strength of record, number 7 in FPI, number 5 in SP+. They have 4 top 30 FPI wins, and their best win is at the number 5 team in FPI. That's Team A. Team B, the number 3 strength of record, number 1 in FPI, number 1 in SP+. They also have 4 top 30 FPI wins. Their best win is at home against the number 8 FPI team. Team C has the number 2 strength of record, number 2 in FPI, number 2 in SP+. Like the other teams, they also have 4 top 30 FPI wins, and their best win is at the number 3 team in FPI. You had to pick one of those that's the best between A, B, and C.
I'd probably go with C. I think Team C has arguably the best resume.
Which makes sense. Number 2, strength of record. Number 2 in strength of record, FPI and SP+,
Right.
and those are things that the committee does use. All of these teams have 4 top 30 FPI wins. And I think if you look at it, winning at the number 3 team in FPI, slightly better than at the number 5 team, and
Right.
a little better than home against the number 8 team. Team C is Indiana. Team B is Ohio State. Team A is Texas A&M. And most people agree with you because 73% of people that have voted on this have voted for Team C, which is Indiana. 18.9% voted for Team B, Ohio State, and only 8% chose Team A, which is Texas A&M.
Well, and that's like it came down to A and C. That's where I was kind of having that contemplation. But again, with the number 3 team being on your resume as somebody that you beat, like it's to me a no-brainer that you just have to take it strictly based off of who you beat.
Yes.
Like if you have
your
it,
best
even if
win
it's 2
is.
spots, your best win is 2 spots better than Team A, who has a similar, if not almost the same resume. Yeah, I mean, Indiana, again, escaped Penn State last weekend, but how many other of their games this season have been just flat out blowouts? Like maybe it is because they just got through that tough slate. They were playing a little banged up, a little tired. You get to that part of the season where guys aren't 100%, but they're playing and they're still making plays, but they're not week 2, week 3 healthy.
Yes.
And you might slide back a little bit, but if nothing else, it just further, I think, proves how good of a team you are when you can face adversity and then you run a perfect 2-minute drill and you kill Gus Johnson. Because, I mean,
They did kill poor Gus Johnson.
the best thing I saw.
Omar Cooper!
Touchdown! No,
His soul leaves his body for a little bit.
the best thing I saw was right after that play happened was somebody tweeted, "I think Gus just left us." Like that was the only thing that was said. And to be fair, like Gus Johnson, and then I'm trying to think of the guy's name, the Hornets play-by-play announcer.
Oh, I can't
Who's done some NFL
That guy's
games this
great,
year.
though. I love him.
Those are probably like if we're talking energy, the 2 most energetic and electric people. I don't care what your opinion is. My opinion is Gus Johnson brings a different energy to a game, and as somebody who's done play-by-play and has a history doing it, like that guy calls every game like it is the national championship,
Which
and
I love.
you
I want that,
can't
yes.
appreciate it anymore. Yeah, like that's what you want in somebody. And if some people may not like the way he delivers his enthusiasm during certain calls, but stuff like what happened Saturday are what keeps you coming back.
I would listen to him broadcast or do play-by-play for Akron UMass.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I would do that. I would sign up for that.
Voluntarily. Yeah, just because it's Gus Johnson. I completely agree.
Oh, he's the best of the best.
What a call.
But yeah, well, what you said though, like I mean, even though it was a 3-6 Penn State team, Penn State also that helps in the metrics. Somehow they're still a top 30 FPI. Don't attack the messenger. I didn't put them there, but they just are there. I don't like it either. I think we should probably weigh some of our numbers by wins and losses a little bit, but a lot of those are especially like SP plus efficiency numbers, but still, it was a road win. It was one in which you didn't play your best game, but when it mattered most, you turned it on. That's one of the reasons why I gave Alabama so much credit for beating South Carolina the way they did.
Right. Well, and to your point, you won a game where Penn State fans had something to cheer about. And that's a rowdy crowd. They might not be having a great year, but if you can get them going, it's going to be hard to shut them up, especially when you're running that 2-minute drill. Like, that's when the lights are on you. You have to go out and perform against one of the more hostile crowds in college football, and you did. You silenced everyone right at the end of the game and proved yourself again.
Call that a gut check win. But coming up next, it wasn't necessarily a gut check win, but it was a fun win for the South Carolina Gamecock men's basketball team. We'll discuss what they did last night. Hear from Coach Paris for the morning meeting.
Continuing to work at I-77 southbound at Forest Drive, right there on the exit ramp. There's an accident with injuries, so taking a little time to get that cleared. Also a slowdown I-20 westbound at Monticello Road due to an accident. Forecast, it's fantastic. It's why we live here. Mostly sunny for about a week. 71 today, 70 tomorrow. We will be in the mid-70s on Saturday. Could be up to 79 on Sunday, so we welcome that. It's a little bit cooler start to your morning today. It's 37 on the early game.
We like to celebrate the wins around here, so that's what we're going to do to kick off today's morning meeting.
Morning.
Morning.
Repeat after me. Today will be an awesome day.
Yeah, it will.
Let's go.
So she's talking about wins.
Good morning, great today. Today will be an awesome day. Good morning, great today. Today will be an awesome day.
And it will, because we're coming off of a win last night. And they looked really good. South Carolina beats Presbyterian 81-61, but don't let the 20-point discrepancy fool you. They did kind of stumble in the last 10 minutes. The last 10 minutes of the game, Presbyterian outscored South Carolina 22-10. It was a 30-plus point game. The largest lead was 73-39 South Carolina with 9.5 minutes left. And spiritually, it was a 30-point game. They played sloppy at the very end, and they kind of let that get away from them. And Lamont didn't like that, and he said after he didn't want to be too kind of crotchety about that. There were maybe some guys trying to get some shots.
That's what I was going to say. I think he said everyone was trying to get a bucket, and he said at that point I was trying to get a bucket, which made me laugh when I was listening to his post game. But no, I did think it was it was until those last 10 minutes a pretty complete effort all around. I mean, Jordan Davis had a pretty great game. I know there was one specific
Jordan Butler.
Jordan Butler just completely blanked. Had a really nice game. Like I know that specifically because I was listening to the game on the way home from work because I left a little bit later last night than I had planned on. But I was on the way home and I heard the call where Jordan Butler got a really nice putback, and there was a lot of praise from the commentary team about the fact that he was getting involved in the offense because it wasn't something that he did a lot of last year. And so I think seeing more opportunities, because I think somewhere that, and granted, I maybe didn't pay as much attention as I should have last year to this team, but I think consistently there were conversations about the offensive struggles. There wasn't a lot of putbacks. There wasn't a lot of offensive rebounds. They were losing a lot of battles in the paint. And suddenly, I mean, granted, it's Presbyterian, but to some extent you have to feel a little more confident about the presence in the paint when guys are more willing to get down low, find the ball, and just keep finding opportunities, fight for it, and put up boards.
Yeah, the thing with Jordan Butler, too, last year, so he's a 7-footer. Last year shot a lot more threes than he did twos. He had 5 two-point attempts last year. Only 5. He's already got 6 so far this season. He had 4 last night. So he had almost as many two-point attempts last night as he did the entirety of the 24-25 season. So that's a positive. And you got a Gamecock high 11 points, is most he's scored in a Gamecock jersey, 11 points off the bench, and was a lot more aggressive. And I think one thing that's a positive for this team is because, after the first 2 games, we realized they're going to shoot a lot of shots, a lot of threes. And after 2 games, they were second in the country in three-point attempt rate, right? 59% of their shots came from 3 going into last night. Now, because they did not shoot as many, they're now down to number 9 in the country in that regard. So they're still attempting, almost more shots from three than anybody else. But they didn't need to rely on that because they missed their first 6 from beyond the arc. And then Lamont kind of told them during a timeout, look, let's start driving and see what we can do. Because teams are going to close out aggressively. And the best way to beat an aggressive closeout is to put the ball on the floor and go by somebody. And last night, to their credit, they did, and that's why they were able to get to the free throw line 32 times, right? And anytime you can shoot 32 free throws, you're going to have a pretty efficient offense if you're able to hit 75 to 80% of those. Now, last night, they hit 78%, right? And at one point in time, they were 18 for 20 from the free throw line. Missed a few late, but they shot the ball really well from the free throw line. That's how you become an efficient offense. And before we got to those last 10 minutes, where the offense obviously, wasn't what the game plan entailed, they were at about 1.5 per possession, which is absurd, right? If you're talking about points per possession, the goal of what's acceptable is 1, to get a point per possession on average. But your best teams in college basketball are constantly getting to like 1.15 or 1.2, sometimes 1.25 to 1.3. That's what is really good. For 30 minutes of the game last night, they were at 1.5, a whole 1.5. That is an incredibly efficient offense, and they did it without hitting double-digit threes, which is a good sign, right? Yep. That tells you that you can start generating more offense, but they do shoot the ball really well. On most nights, they're going to shoot the ball pretty well, and they're going to shoot a lot of threes, but showing that you can do it while attacking the basket a little bit more is good. They had as many free throw attempts as they had 2-point attempts. And it's not because they didn't shoot a lot of twos. It's because they were aggressive and they drew a ton of fouls, which if teams are going to be overzealous guarding you on the perimeter, is something you're going to have to do to keep engineering points.
Well, and I think what's kind of impressive to me is for a guy with the size of Eli Ellis, his ability in the paint to drive down and grab points. And again, you saw it when he was playing in the overtime leagues and stuff like that. He's very talented. He knows how to work his way to the hoop, and he knows how to find points once he gets down there, no matter the size of who he's up against, because he's not the tallest guy in the world, but he's so talented when he gets there that he's a threat anywhere on the court. He can shoot the 3 ball really well. He moves the ball well, and if he has room to dive down to the hoop, he's more than likely going to find 2 points, and that's impressive. And I think obviously it'll be, as we see the bigger opponents, you got Clemson coming up soon, and then as you get into conference play, it'll be interesting to see when they match up with some of these bigger, better teams, what that looks like. But I think there are glimmers of promise and hope in what this offense is going to be able to achieve. Meechie Johnson didn't have to shoot 4 game-saving threes. Right. Let's be real. Meechie only had 9 points last night, but that's fine, because if you're spreading the wealth, there are multiple guys in double digits last night. That's pretty impressive. And for also, I think 37 rebounds is absurd to some degree. Compared to last year's team, to put up 37 boards is pretty impressive.
The most important one are the offensive rebounds. Hayden Assemian grabbing 6 offensive boards last night is a game changer, because that's how you do survive maybe poor shooting nights, right? Yeah. You can survive those if you're constantly grabbing your misses and you're getting more bites at the apple. You're eventually going to finish it, right? And that's exactly what they were able to do last night. And I think one thing that is encouraging is that maybe the SEC won't be as daunting, because if you're locked in on college football, totally understand. If you're not watching a ton of college basketball, I am a basketball sicko. I have been. And the SEC is not doing as well non-con as they did last year. Kentucky got beat by a really good Louisville team. Missouri got beaten pretty good by Minnesota last night. Texas A&M went to Oklahoma State and got beaten up pretty good by a team that I don't think is very good. And I think Texas A&M will be solid. But the SEC from top to bottom, or at least middle of the pack to bottom, not going to be as good as it was last year. The top of the SEC is still going to be loaded. I still think Kentucky is an elite basketball team. Tennessee is going to be really good. Florida has kind of struggled a little bit to start the season, but still really good. They still have a lot of pieces back from a defending national championship team. They're still going to be really good, but the league won't be as daunting of a task this year as it was last year. Again, still good, won't be as tough, but a lot of this stuff will be interesting to see how much it carries over to once you start playing those type of teams. But we're still locked in on college football, meaning it's Thursday, 7:30. It's time for the Early Game Underdog Challenge, and one of our listeners pulled off one of the most impressive picks yet. We'll tell you who that is, and we'll give you our picks coming up next here on the Early Game. Figure now will be a good time to catch you up on some of our programming latest, because you can hear us from 6A to 6P talking about the Gamecocks, but we have a lot of Gamecock and other football coverage going on for the rest of the week. Starting tonight at 7 o'clock, Carolina Calls with Coach Shane Beamer and Todd Ellis over at Backstreets. We'll be airing there from 7 to 8, and then starting at 8 o'clock, Thursday night football coverage, the New York Jets at the New England Patriots. Now, that might be more fun to listen than to watch, because I wouldn't want to watch the New York Jets. I'd rather listen to that game than have to watch the New York Jets. But Saturday, full day of Gamecock coverage starting at 7 a.m. Gamecocks game day. Previewing the game at Texas A&M. And then, of course, we have our watch party at O'Hara's on Main Street in Lexington, where you can go watch and sign up for a chance to win tickets to the Clemson game. You can also watch us on our YouTube watch along, which we'll be doing at noon when Carolina and A&M kick off.
Earlier slowdowns have been cleared, but we do have a couple more to make you aware of, and that's Highway 302 at Crystal Springs Drive. I-20 westbound at Monticello Road, also an accident there. Beautiful forecast on the way. 71 today, 70 tomorrow, sunshine throughout the weekend and into next week. We'll be in the mid to upper 70s for the weekend, so we'll enjoy that as well. Just have to kind of contend with the early temperatures for the next couple mornings. Right now, 37 on the early game.
Oh, it's time to have a little fun. It's the early game underdog challenge. And before we get to some interesting results with Jen Jensen preserving her lead, we got to give a shout out to Matt, a Sam Houston State grad who has been playing along with us all year, finally got a win because Sam Houston State, as 20.5-point underdogs, beat Oregon State on the road to get their first win of the season.
Wow. What a pick.
An incredible pick. So congrats to Matt. That is also not, he didn't just win the week. He has now a record for the most points any of our listeners have had in a single week with 20.5. So congrats, Matt, on winning the week. And also congrats on breaking a record. So that's the bar now for those listening. And when you text in 803-404-6100, the Firehouse Subs text line to submit your picks, that's the bar. It's pretty high now. That is now the standard in terms of breaking records on this show. Now, in terms of what it would be all year long, including us, I think Preston still has that record because when he took UAB to beat Memphis, that was a 22-point.
Yep.
A 22-pointer. So that's still the overall show record.
Yeah. I don't know that we can necessarily raise the bar much more. I'm probably going to limbo under it.
Okay.
You know, I just thinking that's where I'll be.
Now, you don't have to raise the bar that much because you have a lead. Thanks to the Saints picking it up 5.5 points.
Saints came marching in.
They came marching in and got their second win of the season and gave Jen Jensen 5.5 points.
Woo!
I work with so many Panthers fans who have been so confident and have this unreal belief in their team, right? And I told them last week, they're going to lose to the Saints. It's going to happen. This is the classic. Yeah, this is the most Carolina Panthers thing that could happen. It's going to happen. And
you should have told them that I picked them.
Super Bowl. We're going to the Super Bowl. No, you're not.
It's not happening.
As a guest.
You're going
as a spectator.
Yeah.
Yeah, 7-9.
You watching
maybe
along with us.
I don't know.
Watching along with us. But Jen's lead did get cut into a little bit because Team WIS picked UConn 9.5 against Duke. So our standings right now, Jen Jensen with a nice 69.5 points. In second place, Team WIS at 66.5. Preston's got 63, so it's really close. And then far behind, I'm twiddling my thumbs at 51. So I got to make a play.
The caboose.
I'm the caboose right now, but the caboose is a little further back than the rest of the train. I don't know what happened here. Something might be disconnected. So I got to get back on track here, and I'm going to go with a home dog. I got to go back to my roots here, right? I've strayed away a little bit, and I've taken some teams that are on the road. No mas. I will take, since I got the first pick, so it'll be me, Team WIS, Jen, and Preston, and then in reverse order for the NFL. So I will take Baylor plus 8.5 against Utah. Give me the high-octane passing attack to pull off a win at home. Utah has been really good this year, but Baylor is one of those frisky teams that I think can take down anybody on any given Saturday. So I'll go with an 8.5-pointer here with the Baylor Bears. So that takes us to Team WIS.
Veterans Day was Tuesday, and there's a pretty good military football team that I think is getting some disrespect after a loss to Notre Dame. So Team WIS is taking the Fighting Midshipmen, Navy plus 9.5 versus South Florida.
And they're a home dog,
Thank you for your service.
That was on my list.
That's right.
Home dogs bark the loudest.
They bark the loudest. And on the week of Veterans Day, absolutely.
Yeah.
So Navy plus 9.5 against South Florida, the team that is currently shoot in to be the group of 5 representative in the college football playoff. So that takes us now to Jen Jensen.
You know what? We were talking earlier this week about the Midwestern folk, and I think there's going to be some picking some corn. Iowa.
Oh, you took Preston's pick. You took Preston's pick.
Oh.
Iowa plus 6.5 at Southern Cal. I mean, look, they almost pulled it off against Oregon on Saturday. Played really well, and of course, it's the same thing with Iowa. If they can ever, discover offensive football, once they discover the forward pass, it might be over for some folks. But
there you go.
That's a
I'm
big
hopeful.
if. So with you taking Preston's number one option, that takes him to Plan B, where we will go to the Southeastern Conference, and he's going to take Mississippi State. Fresh off of a blowout loss to Georgia, they go on the road and take on third-string quarterback Matt Zollers in Missouri. So they are road underdogs, 7.5 points at Missouri is that one. So Preston will be taking Mississippi State. MISSI, SSIP. Okay, I had to spell that out loud. I have to do that every single time.
Correct.
Don't ask why. I have to say it in that cadence, or else I will
That's
not
because
spell
that's
it.
how the teachers taught us, and now we can't get it out of our heads.
Nope, never will. It's like the 50 nifty United States, and that's why I can name all states in alphabetical order and do it in record time.
Okay, that's impressive.
But for the NFL, Preston is going with the old emotional hedge. He's taking the Panthers plus 3.5 at the Falcons. So that takes us over to Jen Jensen.
Wow. All right, and I'm thinking I'm gonna go home. The Bears, even though they're on the road, 3.5 over the Vikings.
It's home
Come
in
on,
your heart.
We've got to.
I see.
We got to beat them. Uh-oh. Yeah, I know. You're the Vikings fan.
We have the Nick Harvey Jen Jensen Bowl with Bears and Vikings. So the Bears are 3.5 point underdogs. A lot of value there. I like that pick a lot. So that takes us now to Team WIS.
They have too explosive of an offense to be favored to lose, in my opinion. The Seattle Seahawks plus 3.5 at the LA Rams.
Oh, that's a good one.
Okay.
Oh, that's a good one. Seahawks and Rams. When that one was how many points again? There we go. 3.5.
Yeah.
And the
They're
Rams
just-
pretty good too. That's such a good game.
Their first quarter performances have been like unfathomably good. I think is unfathomably a
Unfathomably,
word.
yeah. That's a word.
It is today.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll take your word for it.
So Seahawks plus 3.5. Seahawks maybe the best team in football. That's another strategy there too, where the team is just so good that they're not going to be underdogs often. So when they are, it does feel kind of advantageous to take them, just because it's more of a value thing. Now I'm struggling here too because I still really like the Buccaneers, and I have the last pick, so I can kind of talk this one through a little bit. Mm-hmm. I need to get some more points, right? I can go with a 2.5 pointer because I do think the Lions will beat the Eagles, and I think that'd be playing it safe, but it's only 2.5 points. Sorry, Don, but I do like the Lions. I think they're one of the best teams in the NFL right now, and the Eagles have some weird stuff going on. A.J. Brown is not one to kind of hide his discontent with his role in the offense. And I think the last time we saw their passing game kind of struggle like this was when their last title or NFC title defense, and it didn't turn out very good the next year. But I'm stuck between the Buccaneers and the Bills, which is a 5.5 pointer,
That was my second pick.
and the Bengals at the Steelers. Now, they're not home dogs, but the Steelers are kind of slipping a little bit. Do I bank on the Steelers continue to slip and the Bengals scoring a lot of points? It's tempting, but I'm going to go at least with the better team. And the Bills have struggled a little bit. I'll go Buccaneers. I'll go Buccaneers plus 5.5.
5.5.
Those two, when I was looking at the slate last night, I was like, it's maybe one of those two, because I figured some of the ones that I really liked to be taken off the board, like the Bears at Vikings and Seahawks at Rams. I definitely had those.
Oh, you could get punched in the arm for that one.
I could.
Nick's within striking distance.
That's
of you.
right. That's right. You're behind the glass. You're a little
Yeah,
safer
I am a little bit
behind.
safer. Yeah.
Yeah, you're in a much safer position than me. So to recap, I've got Baylor plus 8.5 against Utah, and in the NFL, the Buccaneers at plus 5.5. In Buffalo, Team WIS has Navy plus 9.5 against South Florida, and the Seahawks plus 3.5 at the Rams. Jen has the Hawkeyes of Iowa plus 6.5 at Southern Cal, and her Bears at plus 3.5 at the Vikings. And Preston takes Mississippi State plus 7.5 at Missouri, and the Panthers at plus 3.5 at the Falcons. You can play along with us, 803-404-6100 on the Firehouse Subs text line. I'll record all of your answers after the show. cuts off at 9 o'clock. So best of luck to everybody there. Good luck at topping Matt's 20.5 pointer. We'll continue the show coming up next, though, because it's time to put some more folks on the grill. Who is cooked? We'll tell you coming up next.
It's Jen for CHW Cabinetry in Lexington. A lot of demolition that we had to do when we had to essentially take our kitchen down to the studs because of a flood. It was not a fun time, but the ladies at CHW Cabinetry made it a whole bunch better. They helped us figure out what cabinetry might be work best for us. We wanted something that the dogs couldn't open up, let's be honest. And it ended up turning out fabulous. We got the photorealistic rendering of the kitchen before it was finished. That was fantastic. Gave us something to look forward to and also to figure out all the other elements to finish the kitchen. But as I mentioned, there's drawers in the pantry. Absolutely love that. They can do that for you. You don't have to have a complete redo in your kitchen. We've also had them replace a few cabinets in some bathrooms, and great work every single time. If you're looking to make some updates in your home, check out chwcabinetry.com or call them today at 803-520-6837. Tell them Jen sent you. CHW Cabinetry, passion from inspiration to installation.
Before we get to the early game, third and long hour, it's time to put some folks on the grill. Now, the grill has been mighty this season. It has won a lot. By that, I mean it has been doing a lot of cooking. And I will say, I had to double check this, make sure I didn't get duped. But I did. Because I thought, I did see a tweet where Oregon State interim coach Rob Aki got booted. Could not get real confirmation on that. But Oregon State as a football program is definitely cooked because that aforementioned 20.5 point loss, or 20.5 point favorite loss to Sam Houston State for them to get their first win despite outgaining them by like 300-something yards is absurd. They have the worst special teams unit maybe in the history of college football. They've missed, I think they missed 2 or 3 kicks in that game too. They've had many kicks blocked. I think early in the year they had maybe one of the funniest botched fumble operations I've ever seen in my life. The Pac-12 leaving them behind and dying and leaving them homeless in terms of conferences has hurt them worse than it did Washington State. And Oregon State has never been more cooked. I feel so bad for that program, but it's over.
Yeah, well, it's almost, I guess, in some sense, it's debatable between them and Oklahoma State because they're both really going through it right now. I'm going to revisit an old favorite here. They won last Sunday, but their head coach, the PR disaster himself, drove to the elbow room where all the Buffalo Bills fans were after the game and taunted them after beating their team.
Oh, Mike McDaniel.
What are you doing? You had every opportunity to own it, gloat about it, do what you wanted in the press conference. And instead, you're a multi-million-dollar head coach who taunted a bunch of working-class Bills fans at a dive bar in Miami after you beat their team.
Buddy, you're 3-7.
You're
still 3-7.
And I'm still not sure he's spoken a full sentence in a press conference this year that made sense.
Oh, that's brutal.
Cooked.
Absolutely cooked.
When you do something like that, you're cooked.
And I'm saying as somebody who absolutely reveled every second in going to Bank of America Stadium and watching the Saints pull off a win against the Panthers, despite being an absolute atrocity to watch this year.
But you're not the head coach.
I'm not the head coach. I paid money to be in that
paid
stadium.
money to be there and to gloat and to own and appreciate that victory.
When your team's tanking, you take the wins and you get them.
Absolutely. But as a head coach, you don't take your wins and then gloat at
No, have
a
some
bunch
class,
of drunk people.
you know?
Right. Just a little bit. Own it.
Now, I don't want to have to do this. I don't want to put this guy on the grill because I love this coach so much and I have so much respect for him. Again, this is the Wesley Snipes, like tears in eyes. I was holding the gun out meme. Mike Tomlin, because buddy, this feels like it's jumping the shark a little bit. They had some divine intervention break their way with Lamar Jackson missing games for an injury for the Ravens and for Joe Burrow missing what's going to be like 85% of the season. And that's the perfect opportunity for the Steelers to get a couple of games where they can cause some separation. Well, Lamar Jackson's back. Joe Burrow's returning to practice. And that opportunity to cause separation is good enough to get them a 1-game lead over the Ravens and only 2 games over the Bengals. And if they lose to the Bengals at home, they go to 5-5. The Bengals are 1 game behind. And if the Ravens beat the Browns on the road, which I expect, we will then have a tie at the top of that division. The division was there for the taking. They're not taking it. And after a 25-10 loss to the Chargers on the road in Sunday Night Football where the offense looked lifeless, man, the grill might be calling Mike Tomlin's name. The Steelers don't put coaches on the grill. That's how you end up having, only 3 head coaches in the Super Bowl era. But I think we've gotten to that point, or we're getting to that point with one Mike Tomlin.
I really like Mike Tomlin. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but man, I don't know. The Steelers did not look like the Steelers and what we've seen over the past decades. Like, they've always been a halfway decent football team. The team that we saw Sunday night doesn't look like a team that could finish 500.
Didn't look great. Hour number 3, third and long hour. We're going to run the ball coming up next.
Yeah, I wish I could make that amount of money to be a backup as well, or to be a bench player.
Yeah. Chase Daniels made a lot of money as a backup quarterback. Maybe one of the best jobs in all of planet Earth is backup quarterback for somebody
Well,
in the NFL for like a decade.
Think about guys like even Tommy DeVito. He might not have made as much money as other backups or anything like that, but look at what he's doing now. He's in those commercials as the substitution role commercials.
Is it Progressive?
Yeah, I
does
think
those?
it's Progressive, like calling the backup, and he's taking pictures with the kids. He made a lot of money off of that. I could do that. I might not have a face for TV, but I think I could pull that off.
It could be a backup. So the Teddy Bridgewater one, the backup listener one's pretty funny.
That one's really good. Yeah, because, I mean, what is it? He comes in and immediately says, like, I can't remember what he says, but it is really,
he does like
really
the
good.
stance where his chin's up on his hands, and he is active listening.
Yeah.
I did take a listening class in college as part of my communications major. It's one of those like required courses. Active listening. Always remember that. Always be active listening. Be an active listener. Also, in terms of things that stuck in college, that's probably
wish
number
I
one.
had taken one of those. I don't think I did.
It's very unique. I think it's one of only 5 schools in the country that offer that as part of their communications curriculum.
Interesting.
Very unique. Very unique.
Yeah.
Made me a better person. Highly recommend if you're a communications school that you incorporate an active listening class. But we'll be actively talking about this Texas A&M South Carolina game. Carolina needing a win to preserve bowl eligibility. And one thing that we talk about every week, because it's something that this team talks about when it comes to what they value in terms of trying to win football games, and that's running the ball and stopping the run. So we'll channel our inner Brent Key here and run the ball and talk about maybe how can South Carolina be able to run the ball well enough in this game with kind of a struggling offensive line, with a new play caller, right, in some coaching staff shakeup in the offense, be able to run the ball well enough to give yourself a chance, be able to move the chains. And there's a couple of examples that we could use in terms of teams that have ran the ball successfully against Texas A&M. One I consider to be an outlier because 3 teams have ran for over 200 yards in a game on A&M this season. Texas San Antonio did in the season opener. Roadrunners, meet. But that was also a game in which A&M missed 14 tackles. Again, they've missed 53 on the entire season. 14 of them came in the opener against UTSA. I think we can chalk that up as a little bit of week one-iness. But it's happened twice in SEC play. Once at Arkansas, the other at Missouri this past week. And I don't know if we can take a ton from the Missouri one because Missouri does have a great ground and pound attack where they run a lot of stretch, a lot of outside zone. That's kind of their MO. That's just what they do. And they have 2 running backs that are some of the best in the SEC. And Ahmad Hardy specifically, I believe, is the best running back in the SEC. So really the game that I looked at this week as to what could be something that South Carolina can replicate a little bit to be able to just run the ball well enough to win this football game is Arkansas, right? Because Arkansas has an incredibly mobile quarterback. Arkansas has had some of their own problems when it comes to pass protection and offensive line play, despite Sam Pittman being their coach at the beginning of the year and being one of the better offensive line coaches in America. They've had their fair share of struggles, but they've also had their fair share of successes. This game was one of them. But Nick, when I watched that game, a lot of it was Taylon Green pulling rabbits out of his hat, right? He was a magician, and a lot of it was picking up rushing yards when escaping the pocket. Now, out of those, not in the total of 200 rushing yards, because in college football they do subtract rushing yards whenever you get sacked. That's taken away from your rushing yard total. But Pro Football Focus does not do that. In terms of yards picked up by scrambling, broken pockets, Taylon Green picked up 132 yards. And when I watch that, I read that, it tells me that if you're going to want to run the ball successfully, or at least successfully enough to win this football game, Lenore Sellers is going to have to be maybe more involved in the run game than he has in any game this year. And that's something that I think that we've just been talking about a lot this year, of just wanting to see more of in general.
Well, and I'm not sure that I want to say that you're going to see a lot of designed QB runs more than maybe more QB draws. Like if we're talking designed QB runs,
plus ones,
let him drop back into the pass and then take off. Because if nothing else, we've seen that he is arguably his most mobile version of himself when he's scrambling out of the pocket. Those designed runs, he's more timid because he knows what he's supposed to be doing. He knows where the hole's supposed to be, and I think he not misjudges where he's going, but I think he's more timid. He's more like I don't want to say skeptical, but I don't think it's necessarily a trust thing, but I do think to some extent he's looking for the play to develop how it's supposed to instead of just making something out of nothing.
Right.
And so I think to that degree, like, it's not only the QB draws, but also hit them with enough play actions. Like, they know you're not a strong running team, but how many times this season has a team come in knowing South Carolina's run game has been pretty bad and then turned around and bit on a play action pass? Because as bad as they might have been at running the ball at points this season, they still committed to running the ball, whether they were going to get 3 yards a pop or not. So if you can at least sell it well enough, you'll find opportunities in the passing game, but maybe that opens up more of, hey, they're expecting play action because they know we don't run the ball well, and then you find other gaps. But this Texas A&M defense is dangerous, and that's going to be really, really tough.
I think one thing, too, that just helps, and it goes back to my whole idea with play action, my big theory, and one day I'm going to take the time to compile all of the data that I need to be able to completely make the point, but I see anecdotal evidence everywhere that you don't have to be a great running team to be good at play action. You don't have to be a good running team to be good in play action just because of how defense is taught, how linebacking is taught, and how a lot of, like, instinctually linebackers want to stop the run so you can get guys out of position just by running play action. But one thing that you hit on when it comes to LaNorris Sellers and where you might find more success in this game and his running game is utilizing what he does best in the run game. And I think that's his instincts. I think his instincts are what separate him. I think it's one of the reasons why NFL scouts became so enamored with him is because he does have a lot of instinctual qualities that you just can't teach, right? Like the Clemson game last year. Like 3rd and 16, his ability to escape the pocket, know where the pressure is coming from, cut up field is one of those more, like one of the more, like, can't teach type plays, right? You can't just have a replacement level quarterback watch that in film and say, hey, I want you to be able to do that exceptionally, or I do that at a high level, because you can't really teach a lot of that stuff. Sometimes, like when LaNorris runs the ball, his instincts and his ability to spin out of tackles, escape pressure, and break tackles too. I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen a quarterback better at breaking tackles, has been the thing that separates him. And I think that's maybe one of the reasons why we don't look at his design runs as successful enough, just because a lot of what he does is jazz, right? It's a lot of improvisation. It's a lot of moving on the fly and doing a lot of things that he has that can't be taught to be able to pick up additional yardage, whereas design quarterback runs are more like symphony orchestra, where you're playing within a framework, you're playing within rules and structure. When the play breaks down, he has to just make something happen. That's kind of where you see the magic, and I think that's going to have to be where in this game, I'm almost probably telling LaNorris, say, hey, look, if the first read's not there, don't be afraid to bail out. Don't be afraid to bail out at any point in this game, just because what you do in that improvised part of the game is what makes you really special, and we got to have special LaNorris Sellers if you want to even have a puncher's chance at winning this football game.
Well, and that's what I was going to say is I hope, if nothing else, this offense, while, again, it's probably not going to be extremely different, right? Like, you're not going to see a completely revamped offense with a week and a half, or 2 weeks, I guess. You get the bye week.
Right.
Now you've had another full week of doing what Mike Furrey and the offensive staff wants to do. I think, at the very least, maybe dig back into what Dow Loggins was doing towards the end of his tenure as the OC and let him expand the pocket. Let him start, I mean, if he takes his drop and instead of continuing to just fall 10 yards back, he instead starts rolling out to his right or to his left if he has room to do it. Now he's got people chasing him, which might get some defenders, some of the secondary to bite because they think he's going to take off because they know he's capable of taking off. You might find gaps, and you might find opportunities to let him not only, like I said, maybe take off if he needs to, but maybe he starts building that confidence back slowly because he realizes he's still capable of doing what he did last year, and he's more comfortable with what they're allowing him to do with the offense.
Especially if you let him do it early.
That's the thing. It's almost like in basketball when you have somebody who's a really good shooter and they're in a little bit of a slump. That stretches over a couple games. If they get into a game, they see one go in early, more likely to feel more confident the rest of the way with other shots.
Sure.
And the more that you can just see one go in, then maybe you're going to play with a little more reckless abandon because you saw one go in. That would be a plus for Lenore Sellers. But one thing that if you are going to even try to design runs for Lenore's, I think one stat that we uncovered earlier this week in Old Man versus Analytics is that the most successful side of the ball South Carolina's run on in terms of direction is off the right guard, right, where Trovon Ball has been playing a lot this year. You're averaging about 6.9 yards per carry on that side. I think if I want to really focus on directional football and where I want Lenore Sellers to run, or even if you do end up kind of leaning into a more traditional run game, I think maybe kind of looking at the sample size you have over the course of the year and realizing that that's your best run blocker right now. I think the tape matches the numbers, that leaning in heavily and say, hey, look, we're going to run behind big 78 right here, and we're just going to make you stop it. And if we're successful on third and shorts, second shorts, anytime you're in a power rushing situation, leaning into who maybe some of your best run blockers are, or just making sure you can get Tro out in space and have him maybe lead block a few times.
He's one of those guys who's nasty in open space. Like, he's got that mentality about him that he doesn't care who's in front of him. He's going to find somebody, and he's going to hit them as hard as he can. Like, he's got that ferociousness that you want from an offensive lineman. Like, you go, like, for instance, when I was in high school, I'd always go back and watch, like, the highlights of the guys in the NFL who were killing it. Quentin Nelson being one of them.
Oh, dude.
That's
one of the best pulling guards I've seen in the NFL.
Man, in open space, you don't want to run into him. He's just so dangerously good at not only his toughness, but also the change of direction, like the way that he could just put his body in front of a defender long enough for his back. I mean, look at what Jonathan Taylor's doing right now. Like that
MVP
Colts
caliber season from Jonathan
line.
Taylor. Yeah.
Right. And that's because he has a brick wall of an offensive line that's opening up space for him to do what he does best. Like, he has the ability to do it because of the guys up front, the guys who don't get talked about. It's always Jonathan Taylor's incredible. He's a freak athlete. Who's doing it for him? Right? Like, some of it is natural, God-given talent. Mm-hmm. It is. No doubt about it. But to some degree, you got to thank the big guys up front. Take them to a steak dinner. Do something nice for those guys because they deserve it. And I think for South Carolina, they've had their struggles. It's been tough. Like, and it's unfortunate because the last thing I want to see is an offensive line struggle, because that's like my bread and butter. I love watching these guys do well and see a beautifully executed blocking scheme. But, like, if it even means that you're getting the ball out quicker, you're running stretch plays as long as the guys don't run straight to the boundary and instead they find a gap to turn up field.
Right.
And then maybe you start looking to the outside runs and you start letting Lenoris scramble more and find a way to turn up field and just pick up the yards where you can get them.
Yeah, that's certainly something to watch for. And it's going to be tough to do it just against this A&M defensive line, which is nasty. Man, I think that's the best word I can describe, is that it is a nasty defensive front. And Shane Beamer made sure to mention in the press conference this week, they're a bunch of old dudes. They're a bunch of old dudes who have nasty attitudes and are ready to get in the backfield. And you might have to be able to lean into running the ball really well if your pass protection doesn't hold up a ton, because not many offenses have had their offensive line be able to hold up in pass pro against Cassius Howell this season. We'll continue talking about this A&M South Carolina game, but we'll pivot to the other side of the ball. What does A&M do offensively that South Carolina is going to have to account for on Saturday? We'll hear from Clayton White coming up next here in the early game. Thanksgiving is coming up, and right now. An accident over on Highway 302 at Crystal Springs Drive. An accident on I-20 eastbound over at US 1 near exit 58, it looks like, causing a little bit of traffic delay. We also have one on Mineral Springs Road at Oak Drive in Lexington County. In terms of weather, 47 right now. We're going to get a high of 70 today. Looking like it's going to be mostly sunny up until about 3 o'clock, and then the sun should go down at about 5:21 for the rest of the week. Highs up to 75 on Sunday. A little bit warmer temps as the week goes along, and a whole lot of sunshine. Now, we love to interact with you on our YouTube stream. Justin says, I want the states in alphabetical order now. Don't worry. We'll be getting those in winners. It's my favorite party trick. So you will be getting those in winners.
You'll be an ultimate winner if you do it.
And I'll let you time
I have
too.
full confidence in you.
I'll have you pull up the states in alphabetical order. And the 50 Nifty United States taught me that, ingrained in my head what those are in alphabetical order. It's one of the coolest party tricks I can do. And by that, I mean, I don't have a wide array of them, but that's one of them, right? Like that's one that I can use. So that's on our YouTube stream. On the AAA Heating and Air phone lines, our man Ray is calling in. Always good to hear from Ray. Ray, good morning. Welcome to the early game.
Good morning, Elijah, and good morning to your partner there. Didn't quite get his name. I'm sorry.
Nick Harvey from Team W.
There you go. All right. Well, hey, guys, earlier you guys were talking about a couple of things that kind of got my interest. You're talking a little bit about the Arkansas Razorbacks. I was thinking, a couple teams that are really struggling, the Razorbacks, unfortunately my Gamecocks. I was thinking, if you could take a hybrid, you take the Razorbacks offense and our defense, you'd have a pretty good team, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, Arkansas's defense has struggled a lot this year. They kind of hemorrhage a lot of yards in the ground, but offensively they've had some explosion. I mean, 42 points against Texas A&M is nothing to scoff at, and they gave Ole Miss all the trouble in the world on the road earlier this year, back in September.
And let's not forget the former Gamecock receivers on that team. Omega
Blake is their, I believe, still their leading receiver, if I'm not incorrect there.
Well, and also I want to touch on y'all talking about these guys that play backup and make a darn good living at it for a long time. Guys, man, I kind of had nightmares on this one. I was thinking of that guy up at Clemson that beat us 4 times, Charlie Whitehurst, Clipboard Jesus.
Oh, I love I've drawn a lot of Clipboard Jesus comparisons just because of my hair and my beard over the years, and was fortunate enough to meet Charlie Whitehurst at a Bob Dylan concert once when I was working security in Nashville. Good dude. But, I mean, that guy, awesome career, man. Just got to be a backup, make a lot of money, and marry Jewel. It's not a bad living.
Rick Henry.
No, I think he had it good. But thanks a lot, guys.
Appreciate the call as always, Ray.
Yeah, no, Rick Henry is a huge fan of Charlie Whitehurst. Like, if there's one person that you can ask to tell some stories or just talk about how much he appreciated what he did as a backup. That was legendary career for somebody to pull off.
And poor guy got to play on bad teams, but he collected big checks.
Sure did.
He played on some really bad Titans teams.
What a way to make a living.
But was a fan favorite. I mean, as somebody who lived in that area at the time that Charlie Whitehurst was getting some run with the Titans, he was definitely a fan favorite. So even, be a fan favorite, make a lot of money, hold the clipboard, learn the game at an advanced level, right? Because you have to be a backup quarterback. You're involved in a lot of those meetings. Good career arc there for Charlie Whitehurst. I'll try to look up, see how much money he was able to rake in throughout his NFL career, because we can find that information pretty accessibly. But we're still breaking down South Carolina, Texas A&M. Huge game for South Carolina. Can't say it enough in terms of how big this is in terms of just keeping any type of momentum that you have, or not keeping momentum, of gaining momentum and trying to get into a bowl game. And it's a tough task because we talk about A&M's defense. Cassius Howell is great. The leader in almost any edge rushing category. Will Lee is an elite defensive back. Haven't talked about him as much, but he's kind of become almost an under-talked about aspect of that defense. But offensively, A&M is an incredible challenge. And for South Carolina this year, in the games they've had chances in the fourth quarter, a lot of that was because their defense. You think back to the LSU game, it's a 7-point game going into the fourth quarter because your defense is able to force turnovers and be able to give your offense the ball back despite it looking bleak at times, right? Your defense is able to kind of keep you hanging around against Oklahoma until they didn't in the fourth quarter. Your defense was able to hold Alabama to one of their worst offensive performances of the season and give you a legit shot to win that game. But how would that look against this Texas A&M team? Well, I wanted to ask Clayton White yesterday about one of the things that A&M does really well, which is the RPO game, the run-pass option. Marcel Reed, as good of a quarterback as he's been, as fun as he can be to watch, has really mastered manipulating defenses at the mesh point. For those who don't know, the mesh point is the moment where the quarterback has the ball and it looks like he's handing it off to the running back. And the mesh point is where the decision has to be made to either hand the ball off, pull it and keep it, or pull it and throw it, right? There's three things you have to be able to cycle through and do it in a split second, essentially, right? It's a tough decision to make, but Marcel Reed has mastered that with Texas A&M. That's one thing when I watch them on TV, when I watch their games, that I really become enamored with is how good they are at manipulating defenses with their RPO game. So I asked Clayton White, Gamecock defensive coordinator, yesterday, what it's going to take to slow down that RPO attack.
Discipline definitely the key to the game in regards of it's basically like option football. You have to really protect the run inside on the perimeter and also the perimeter passes and then the quarterback. So that, to me, that makes it feel like option football, and discipline and technique and understanding your initial assignment, I think, is the most important part. And then also understand that there are secondary things you have to read and react to. And we just have to be great at those fundamentals. Those are just base fundamentals, football, and just technique and understanding, read and react football, and leverage and angles and understanding where your teammates are. But you hit the key word with discipline, and I do believe that's going to be key.
Yes, discipline is key, but even more importantly, and he said it was important, but assignments. That's your biggest thing, especially with option football, because somebody on that defensive line is going to be the back man. Somebody is going to be the quarterback man. Somebody's going to be then your linebackers have to stay focused on the goal of, I mean, and it's hard. It's really, really hard for the secondary and especially your linebackers to have the notion to want to step up when you see what looks like it could just be a read option, and then all of a sudden he pulls back and hits somebody right over the top of you. Like
on a slant that ends up getting behind you because you do fall for that.
Right.
That eye candy there is the fake.
And it's one thing, like last year's Texas team. Nick Saban brought it up during a game day last year when they started doing the film sessions with him, how good Texas was at the RPO. And now all of a sudden it's A&M, who's really good at executing these run-pass options because they hold it just long enough for those linebackers to say, oh, he's giving it. Mm-hmm. And they're going straight for the running back, and it gives that maybe even an inch and a half. It's a yard, whatever it is. He's got someone right over the top that's going to beat you and pick up at the very least 5 yards minimum, and then you get glued to the pass, and you're biting too late and stepping up too late to stop the run, and you're popping off 5-6 yards a run, and not to mention that it's a dual threat in the backfield because he's just as good as their running back duo.
Yeah. Well, it's one thing because obviously in RPO it is a run or pass, option, and they do both those things really well. And it doesn't matter which running back it is. I mean, Reuben Owens and Le'Veon Moss have been exceptional runners this year, and those guys are 1,000+ yard rushers at any other program, but they're splitting carries. Le'Veon Moss has missed some time. He's only played 6 games this season. And then for a third running back, you have E.J. Smith, son of Emmitt Smith, who came from Stanford and was a really productive running back at Stanford. So any of those 3 guys, when they're an option to get the ball, can pick up 6 yards on any given play, if not more. As a trio of running backs, they have 31 explosive run plays this year. Marcel Reed's had 16 explosive run plays, so now you have to account for him keeping it and running it. Oh, yeah, and Mario Craver and Casey Concepcion have been 2 of the most explosive receivers in the conference all year. Overall, their RPO attack is good because no matter what option you pick to take away, they have other good options as plans B and C.
There's talent everywhere, right? Like you can't go wrong with the decision making if you're Texas A&M because, again, if it's just enough space for that receiver to get open, he's dangerous. Then, like you said, when you've got the running back duo that they have plus Marcel Reed again. Like it is a problem trying to stop this offense because they're capable of so many things so well. Like everything is executed very, very well.
Yeah, and that's going to be a tough task to stop. We'll take some more calls, and we'll also have other games from the SEC. It's a massive weekend in the SEC, including a game in Athens that can single-handedly shape what we look at in terms of painting a college football playoff picture. All that and more coming up next here in the early game. In terms of traffic right now, we do have a pretty severe backup. It looks like over near Swansea, a disabled vehicle has the right lane completely blocked on I-26 westbound. Over at US 21 near exit 129. With that right lane blockage, I'd recommend maybe finding an alternative route there. Some more minor accidents as a result of minor accidents resulting in minor traffic backups, if I could speak correctly. One at Highway 302 at Crystal Springs Drive, got a minor backup there, as well as an accident causing one on 20 eastbound just after US 1 near exit 58. And lastly, there's one on Mineral Springs Road over at Oak Drive causing some delays. Before we get into a really good slate of college football for the weekend and get Nick Harvey's take on some of these games, we'll go out back to the AAA Heating & Air phone lines. My man Barry's been waiting patiently on the line. Good morning, Barry. Welcome to the early game, my friend.
Good morning. This is as early as I've been up in about 5 years, bro.
I know. You don't ever call in the early game. We've had you call in for the post-game show. It's good to have you this early.
I'm a 12 nooner.
Okay.
I don't go to bed till 5, so I get up about noon.
Night.
But anyway, I'm going to go back to the offense for a second, if you don't mind.
For sure.
With Sellers, I mean, let's face it, numbers-wise, we don't need to Google because it's embarrassing, okay, when it comes to rushing yardage and third down conversions defense and offensive passing and efficiency and all that. It's all terrible. But as far as Lenoir is concerned, all right, I'm old school, okay? I watch Andy Reid. I watch these guys that are brilliant. This guy, obviously in the pocket, he still shows signs of not knowing what to do, okay? He makes mistakes. He throws the ball away. He takes unnecessary sacks. Why in the heck don't they roll this guy out naked? A naked boot. A naked boot, bro. Has anybody forgot about a naked boot? All right, you said the right side is the strongest side. You run a naked boot with a little dump down there available. If it's not there, he throws for 5 or 6 yard gain on first down. But, run the guy naked, bro. Get him outside. I mean, it's just old school football, and it's a play that's very effective. Very effective. And I wanted to see what you think about that.
Yeah, for sure. And there's a lot of really good points there, Barry. And that's the thing, too. When you look at the numbers that Barry's alluding to, that's what gets you to the realization that you need to move on from your offensive coordinator. And it's also should be what the realization is, hey, this is a lot of the concept we've been using this year. This is what we cycled through. A lot of this just isn't working, right? And throwing in tweaks. That's why, Shane probably referred to them as tweaks to the offense, not complete change and overhaul. Because what Barry's suggesting, more naked bootlegs, rolling out to the right side, just gradually moving the pocket more throughout your drives, isn't a drastic overhaul. It's not like going from the triple option offense or the wishbone offense to the air raid overnight. It's not that type of dramatic transformation, but they are minor tweaks that can maybe yield better results based off just what you've realized over the course of 9 games, what you can and cannot do. I think those are all very sensible suggestions.
Sure. Well, and to some degree, I think, too, and it's been mentioned, Mike Shula was a really good opening script play caller. He was notoriously good at putting together a good first drive.
That's where their most success came this year, on those opening drives.
And I go all the way back to week 1 here for the Virginia Tech game. That first drive, how many times Lenoris it was either an RPO or he did, intently fake a handoff and have a tight end to dump off in the flat, but he's also rolling in the direction of where that receiver is going, plays like that. Now, I mean, and I agree, a naked boot is obviously, it's old, but it is effective. It is worked effective for years and years and years, and if you run it properly, you're going to find success. I do think you can mix in some of the new with those RPOs, with those fakes. He dumps off. He kind of scrambles outside of the pocket and finds somebody in open space who's drifting in the same direction. It doesn't need to be, it doesn't need to be too difficult. You can simplify the game and do what caters to your talent the right way. That's where the struggles have been with this South Carolina offense this year, in my opinion. I mean, obviously, again, we talked about it just before. The O-line has had their struggles. But besides that, you haven't necessarily catered to what your talent is capable of. And time again, it is proven to be that. I mean, you go back to the Ole Miss game and some of the throws LaNorris missed. It's not a throw that he's typically making in a game. To be honest, just because I say that in reference to, like, he is a scrambler. He's going to run out and find the open space and then complete a pass. How many times was he just in the pocket trying to wait it out and then throwing either with a man in his face or, to another degree, he has an open receiver and he just misses him because he's not running what he feels comfortable running.
I mean, if you look at the best throw I think LaNorris Sellers has made this year in terms of like a jaw-dropping dime, that play at Missouri where it's like 3rd and 32 or something like that, right? And he pocket collapses, he scrambles, he's running to his left, and really off his back foot on the run, just zips one right on the sideline and hits Nick Harbor right in the hands. Now, unfortunately, is a gain of like 28, and the line to go was still another 4 or 5 yards behind them. And earlier plays in that sequence is the reason why they didn't move the chains. But that's the type of throw that I watched LaNorris Sellers make, and that's what tells me like those are NFL caliber throws. Getting to other games over the weekend, the one I really wanted to get your opinion on, Nick Harvey, was Texas at Georgia. Right now, Georgia last year was the ultimate. They were the ultimate Longhorn killers. They beat them in Austin. They beat them in the SEC championship game. Really, Texas's kryptonite last year was playing against Ohio State, Georgia. Welcome to college football, right? Well, now they got to go at Georgia this year. Texas is off to an ugly start to the season. Their offense looked like a mess. I will say, in terms of players who have been the most improved over the course of the season, Arch Manning has shown a ton of improvement based off of the atrocity that was that first game in Columbus to start the season. There's been a whole lot of growth. It seems like that offense is finding a rhythm, and they're going to have to against a defense that, as good as and talented as Georgia is, they are susceptible to getting got, if you will, in the passing game. I think that one's maybe going to be a lot closer than people think, and I was definitely eyeballing that one in the Underdog Challenge a little bit.
Well, yeah, and to some degree also, I mean, I go back to the Georgia-Tennessee game. You just mentioned it, that they're susceptible to some of the bigger passing plays being given up, everything of that nature. That was a shootout with Tennessee.
Yeah.
Like we saw
one
that
in the
they
40s.
have weaknesses that they can exploit in Georgia's pass defense to some extent. And with Arch Manning looking better and better by the week, suddenly returning to the conversation as a guy who has a lot of hope and hype probably as we get closer and closer to it. If Texas wins this game, it changes in my opinion, the dynamic of the playoff in the SEC. I mean, it will change the dynamic of the SEC and the playoff because it'll shake things up with Georgia. But, my general manager over at WIS is a Georgia alum.
Okay.
Big time Georgia fan. One of my coworkers yesterday hit him with the other Progressive commercial where the guy's sitting in the staff meeting with his boss who's got the Georgia mug.
Oh, he starts barking?
Go Dogs, yeah, and starts barking at her. Like, he did that to him yesterday. It cracked me up. And then that's, I don't know. I mean, Georgia is, at the end of the day, they're a team that, like, every time you want to say, oh, they're not as good, like, they're going to, I think there's a chance this is going to happen. They prove you wrong. And they prove to you again why they're Georgia and why they've been a household name now for almost, a decade now.
Yeah, that's why if you were going to get Georgia, you had to get them early this year.
Right.
Because, I mean, this is a team that Kirby is playing with more first or second year players than he has in the last decade. And Kirby was very upfront about that at SEC Media Days. That was one of my biggest takeaways is he was very upfront about, hey, there might be a little bit of a learning curve because we do have so many new players, but I love that challenge, right? And Kirby's gotten to do a lot of teaching this year, and I think that has really been right down his alley. That's maybe one of the reasons why you've seen them grow a lot, especially Gunnar Stockton. A lot of growth with him over the year. In terms of improved guys, Gunnar Stockton has made me a believer too. So I think that's maybe the most improved quarterback in the SEC Bowl right there.
I would agree with that. Yeah, he's definitely the decision-making, the just pure talent that we're starting to see more and more of. I think he's settling like really comfortably into that offense and doing a really good job. But it's funny because a couple weeks ago, I saw a video of somebody walking to class at Georgia past their practice and hearing Kirby Smart ripping people a new one because he's got a microphone at practice. They've got the
So you can
speakers,
hear it everywhere.
and he's talking about like guys having to do their job. He said, if you were in the real world and if you weren't getting to do this every day, you'd be fired. You would not have a job. Like just ripping into people, and I'm like, hey man, like that. Nick Saban's smiling somewhere because that's how some coaches do it, and it works.
Nick Saban would say that's a winner. We'll give you our winners for today's show coming up next. Time for our winners segment. As always, brought to you by the Golden Spur. Coach Mike Singletary wants winners. We're going to give them to him. So, my first winner, my golden winner, brought to you by Golden Spur, Party Tricks. I was challenged during a commercial break because I said I can name all 50 states in alphabetical order in record time. So I'm going to close the laptop, putting this here so no one can accuse me of cheating. I know this by memory. Nick Harvey, you got the list pulled up?
I've got the list pulled up. I'm ready to go.
All right. So you're gonna grade me here, and it's not gonna take. It's 8:50:25. I will get it done well before 8:51. Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Florida, Georgia, Hawaii, Idaho, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, Nevada, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, North Carolina, North Dakota, Ohio, Oklahoma, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Vermont, Virginia, Washington, West Virginia, Wisconsin, Wyoming. Party Tricks, winners.
That was, wow.
I learned the 50 Nifty United States in the 3rd grade. For some reason, it stuck, and I can just play that in my head, just reel it off.
Did you say, you said by 59, right? 50:59, I think was the time. You did it by 50:54. You beat it by 5 seconds. I could never. Can't do it.
That's why you got to do it
I'm really
at
good
age
at
like
multiplication tables. That's about all I got. And that's not a fun party trick. So I've got to start.
I don't know
digging
if
into the
naming
bag.
states in alphabetical order is much of a fun party trick either, but it's one that I have.
I don't. The more and more that I've been thinking about this since we first talked about it, the more and more I don't know if I have a party trick. I'm double jointed. It's just weird.
Everybody's got one.
Everybody
has
something.
I
don't know.
Party trick.
I'm a big karaoke guy. Maybe that's a thing. I don't know. Like
Karaoke's
I
a party.
showcase the vocals sometimes.
If you showcase the vocals and you're really animated, like karaoke can be a party trick.
Work in a crowd. I feel like sometimes I get to a point where, like, I feel, if nothing else, I feel like I am putting on one heck of a concert. Like, I get fully into the moment. There's no doubt about that.
Karaoke is all presentation. All presentation. Your winner for today's show, Nick Harvey.
So I've had some contemplations on this, and I think I'm going to go with both Mike Furry and Sean Elliott, because I feel like it's almost like an atomic reaction that they're going to be very much working together on offensive play calling. I'll give a donation of, I'll go $50 to any charity of choice if they headbutt each other Saturday. If there's a clip of them like headbutting each other and getting just overly physical, I'll do it. I'll headbutt something if they do it. During the stream, if I find out that it happened on Saturday, I'll do something egregious. And I'll headbutt something in the room.
What I want is kind of like, I don't know if you've ever seen that John Henderson when he's playing for the Jacksonville Jaguars, early 2000s or late 90s. It's a clip where he's mic'd up on NFL Network, and they're about to run out onto the field. So they're still in the tunnel, and he's got the trainer, and he's asking him to slap me. Or to slap me. He goes, "You slap me in the face." And he hits him and goes, "Oh, that ain't hard enough. I want to taste the blood in my mouth." And then, of course, he keeps slapping a couple times. Then, of course, there's all the beeps and stuff because John Henderson's yelling obscenities as he's running down. He's like, "Yeah, I can taste the blood in my mouth." And he puts the helmet on or whatever. It's like the most maniacal looking thing and sounding thing you've ever heard a human being do. But that's the level of intensity that I want this offensive coaching staff coming out of the tunnel at Kyle Field with on Saturday.
There was a coach in Colleton County, which is where I'm from originally, an old school coach, used to get super amped up, had to calm down, obviously, later in his career. But at the time, he was notorious for being kind of that Sean Elliott presence on the field, too, as a head coach. But he would go out and he'd get all amped up and he'd start headbutting people. He had to get stitches before a game one time because he had headbutted somebody with a helmet on and split like right here between his eyebrows open, or his nose or something like that. Like he was the best kind of crazy that you wanted. And like if he was willing to do that, guys were willing to run through a brick wall for him.
Yes.
And he won multiple state championships in his tenure. So give a lot of respect to those guys who were willing to commit to the bit and give that full high energy.
Another winner today, too, because we played the soundbite at the end of the first hour. Jameis Winston is starting a game in the NFL on Sunday. So here's what this means. We get more Jameis Winston in terms of talking. Yeah. We already got him singing Hamilton during our press conference yesterday. We made sure, and I know. I saw Tyler Head come in, and I know pretty damn well Tyler Head's going to be playing that Jameis Winston cut today, because when I sent it to him, he goes, "Oh, buddy, I'm already on it." We are getting more content from the Jameis Winston content machine this weekend. So a Golden Spur winner for today. All of us for getting to experience Jameis Winston.
There's the song "You'll Be Back." Hey, he's back.
You'll be back.
He's back. He's back.
Every night in my dreams, you'll be back. Jameis Winston, winner for today's show. Tyler Head, Jack Veltri, the Extra Point, always winners. They're coming up next here on The Game.